Welcome back in, basketball fans. Wayne Proffitt Court inside Turner Gymnasium is the site for the second half of our LHSN doubleheader. Today, earlier in the afternoon, had the pleasure of being on the call for a field hockey team here on campus, making their way into the second round of the NCAA tournament. Now, it's opening night for the women's basketball team, and they're taking on Marymount tonight. Sam Graham alongside Andrew Watson, really excited to get back into basketball season.
Yeah, there's really no better feeling than being back in Turner Gymnasium. Obviously, a lot of young talent on this Lynchburg side, welcoming in a team who made the NCAA tournament last year. It's going to be a very exciting matchup, one that we've been looking forward to for quite some time. We'll see that right here in the team comparison as we check it out, that big disparity in the record. But Lynchburg last year, very inexperienced, very young. They bring back almost everyone, but Marymount, the exact same thing. Their entire starting five almost back. What stands out for you there, Sam?
Well, obviously, it's the three-point percentage, right? And you know, if we had more space, we'd have three-pointers made per game as well. Lynchburg led the conference in three-pointers made per game. They were second in three-point percentage. These two teams met last year. Not quite this early in the season, but pretty early, second or third game, I believe. And, you know, Marymount got the best of this Lynchburg team. But, as you said, that was a really young team, and still young now, but a little bit more experience. They added some experience through the transfer portal, bringing in Sarah Brandstatter, who we'll talk about a little bit more as tonight's game progresses. But, yeah, that three-point percentage is going to be huge because this is a Marymount team that not the greatest at shooting the three, but they do bring a lot of size to the table. I
completely agree, and now we can check out the players to watch here in this contest. First, I'll talk about from the visiting team, Marymount, Chandler Edelton, was quite an incredible player last year for Marymount, averaged 15.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, was really a force in the paint for this visiting side. And Lynchburg obviously added a little size this year, Taylor Brown coming to the Hornets, so maybe a little bit of an idea to help. We'll check out her right here.
Yeah, it's Taylor Brown. I mean, you know, we were talking pregame. Who do we even talk about, you know, for this game one for this women's basketball team? We got three newcomers that we're expecting to start tonight. Taylor Brown is going to take things over down low, and certainly is going to be a big factor in this game. If nothing else, just drawing her defenders out to the three-point line.
It should be a very exciting contest, and we'll get things started when we return here to LHSN women's basketball, getting ready to start things up from Turner Gymnasium.
Welcome back inside the gym. Wrap up our little bit of a pregame show. We're not going to cut away again before we have some basketball action right here on Wayne Proffitt Court. Once again, Sam Graham, Andrew Watson alongside you for the beginning of a long and what should be a very fun basketball season. We'll dive into some of our starters for tonight's game, and we will start with actually we're going to start with everybody. There we go. The beauty of a five-man lineup, five-woman lineup. You can see both teams at the same time. And we've already pointed out our players to watch. But, you know, for Marymount, this is a very deep, it's a very experienced team. We're going to see that a lot with the starters themselves. We got a junior, two seniors, and two fifth years. And then on the other side for Lynchburg, we already mentioned three new starters coming to the table for Lynchburg. One of those is Sarah Brandstatter, who has experience not only playing collegiate basketball, but within the ODAC. She comes to Lynchburg from Roanoke, where she was a standout do-it-all guard, and Coach Nichols expecting her to do a very similar role here.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to point out, that Saints lineup that you see there is the lineup that they used for 26 of their 28 contests last year. The only difference was that DeZambo did not start in 2 games last year. So, I mean, a very experienced starting 5 for Marymount. And as you mentioned, it might not look like that Lynchburg team has a lot of experience, obviously, but Macy Mullins ran point a lot last year. Obviously, Maddie Nimmo took over that role towards the end of the season last year. She's not on the roster in 2023. Sarah Brandstatter, obviously, new face here in Turner Gymnasium, at least in this jersey, has a lot of experience, not only playing in the ODAC, but playing on a very good Roanoke team. Taylor Brown, we mentioned her earlier. I mean, she's going to have to be that Pate presence today. It's a Marymount team that didn't shoot the 3 all too well last year. The last time these two teams met was the first game last season up at Marymount. It was only 2 threes made the entire contest by the Saints. Lynchburg is going to need to kind of take advantage of that on the offensive end, but obviously the Saints are really going to want to push themselves into the painted area and try and get early points and early contact under the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny, Andrew. I went to fill out my notes for this game. Obviously, we're getting ready for a new season. Everybody's 0-0, and certainly a great matchup here to start. But it's funny, the last game I worked last season was Lynchburg taking on Roanoke. And I noticed that on my opposing spotting chart, the number 1 player that I had on there was number 3, Sarah Brandstatter. She had a big impact on that game, and Coach Nichols certainly really optimistic about the impact she will have on this still very young team. And obviously Taylor Brown was our player to watch. She's going to have her work cut out for her today. This is a lot of length possessed, not only by these Marymount starters, but by the whole team. Letty Michael will help with that as well. Really excited to see her debut, a 5'10 guard. Likely will match up with Tara DeZambo, who's got some size of her own, a 5'10 guard in her own right for Marymount. And it is the Saints with the ball first. Basketball officially back on LHSN and in Turner Gymnasium. Looking to probe inside for the first shot of the day. It'll be blocked. Second chance, really third chance now for Marymount. Again, they go inside. The shot comes up from Samantha Shackelford. And try again. It does not matter. Lynchburg defense holds strong on possession number 1.
Yeah, and immediately you can see that presence that Brown really gives this Hornet team. You didn't have a lot of size last year, but already maybe picking up 2 blocks in the early going. I would definitely give her 1 on that play, but it's a great way to start your season with a shot clock violation, especially against the team who made the tournament last year and really dominated that first contest for a lot of these different players on the court.
Marymount's going to go down low a lot today, so Taylor Brown, like we said, going to have her work cut out for her. Lynchburg facing that Marymount pressure already early on. Ambitious pass there is Letty Michael looking to feed her classmate down low, Taylor Brown. That pass was picked off, but in transition, Marymount got going just a little too fast, and it's going to be turnover number 1. Well, I guess turnover number 2 if we're counting the shot clock violation.
Yeah, and Marymount, a team that likes to play with a little bit of pace. Obviously, they're going to pressure you all the way up the court, so a difficult thing for Lynchburg today is just going to be getting it across and then trying to feel comfortable running in the half court, especially with, not too much time on the shot clock, because you're not going to be able to get out in transition too much.
First 3 of the season for Lynchburg is up and in. 3 points for number 3, Macy Mullins. Puts Lynchburg on the board first, and they have the first lead in tonight's contest. Lynchburg taking advantage of a new 5-out motion offense. Defense will stay the same. You see that early on. It's Letty Michael switches onto the 3-point shooter. Now again down low. That time the 2-point take is up and good. Basket scored by Marymount's number 21, Claire Smith.
Yeah, and you can already see that contrast in styles of where Lynchburg wants to get their points from and where Marymount wants to get theirs from. Mullins, not someone you can leave open from the perimeter, shot almost 40% from behind the arc last year, so that'll be a matchup that Lynchburg really needs to take advantage of today.
High volume as well, if memory serves. Mullins shot right near 53 pointers made on the season, as we will get an offensive foul going against Sarah Brandstatter. It's funny, Coach Nichols said she's almost at times got too much of a high motor, and that is certainly a good thing most of the time, but might have to caution Brandstatter at times just to take her foot off the gas pedal just a tad. That might be an example there, but again, you like the aggression early on.
Yeah, and that one a good move to try and get to the baseline. Obviously, when you get into that painted area, it gives you a lot of advantage to not only shoot the ball, give yourself some easy opportunities, but it opens up the floor for everyone else. So, not a good thing to see a little bit of foul trouble early, but still a positive move.
Michael goes for the fake, and on the take, is Claire Smith coming up again on the offensive side. Back-to-back buckets from Claire Smith as Marymount continues to probe inside. Going to draw the and one as well, so Smith will go to the line. Our first free throws taken tonight, and we'll get our first substitutions as well, as Olivia Harris and Kayla Sledge are going to check in for the Hornets. We're going to have Sarah Brandstatter and Taylor Brown hit the sidelines early on, so now we'll see how Kayla Sledge does being tested down low against this Marymount squad. Free throw up and in for Claire Smith, so a quick 5 points. All 5 of Marymount's points in the early going. And it's funny, after the pressure early on, not quite the same pressure these last several trips up the court for Lynchburg. That time it turns into a Brooke Kaysen probing into the paint and scoring some paint points for Lynchburg. Got to get back on defense, though. Three-pointer, second one of the night goes up for Marymount. Up and no good, and it is one and done. Big rebound by Kayla Sledge. Three-pointer goes up on the other side, a little too strong for Letty Michael. And now we're starting to see a pair of teams that like to run. Going inside, pulling up for the mid-range and knocking it down is Chandler Edelton, one of the best players not only on this Marymount team, but one of the better players across Division III.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier before that bit of a horse race we had right there. But, I mean, Marymount was very keen to set up in that full court pressure, but now just initially pressing that first pass in the first offensive player for Lynchburg, and then after that letting them bring it up. So maybe just trying to limit the amount of time Lynchburg has on offense.
Pick and roll gives to Sledge. Sledge off to Harris, and Lynchburg another three. Olivia Harris drills it this time, and Lynchburg jumps back into the lead. 8-7, 6:20 to go in quarter number 1. Inside goes Marymount, foul called against Lynchburg, so we'll stay right here on this end. They were looking to feed it inside to Ava Achtel. Achtel, a strong 6 foot. Into the game, first time, Sammy Sever and Casey Kelly. So Lynchburg rotating those legs. Marymount content to stick with its starting 5. Already 4 substitutions for the home team as the running bucket scored by Tara DeZambo.
Yeah, last year for Marymount, 8 players getting an opportunity in every single game of that regular season, including that tournament run they had, winning their conference title. But not a team who usually runs super deep in terms of playing a lot of different players. So we'll see if they really make any changes to that tonight.
Sammy Sever goes up strong near the bucket, draws the foul. Good feed by Kayla Sledge, who we've already seen a couple times isolated there around the perimeter, and that'll send Sever to the line. And Andrew, I gotta say, really excited to see Sever back out on the court. She was really limited last season coming back from a really tough knee injury, so great to see her getting some minutes early on here in game number 1.
Yeah, only appeared in 5 games last year. You mentioned the knee injury, but when she did come back, made an immediate impact, not necessarily in terms of scoring, but I think she just gave this team a little bit of heart coming down the stretch, trying to find themselves in the ODAC tournament. And being one of the most experienced players on the team, you have to be excited to have her back.
Great opportunity to try and pick that pass off was Macy Mullins. Now she's back ahead of the Marymount defense, but Harris didn't see her, and Harris gonna be called for the foul. Harris is in disbelief. I gotta be honest, I would like to see the replay on this one if we can.
Yeah, tough one
there.
there.
Didn't seem like much.
It looked like Harris just trying to drive by. As we take a look here, the elbow did come up and maybe just working back to her left side. Pushing that elbow up, trying to create a little bit of space.
First foul against Harris. 4th against Lynchburg here as we're coming up on the under 5 timeout. 5.5 minutes to go in quarter number 1. It's a 9-8 Marymount lead. We've gone back and forth here early on, seen both teams run a little bit. How about that feed? In transition, moving towards the basket, Ava Achtel puts it in close. Here comes that pressure from Marymount again. Sledge inbound it to Kelly. How about a season on the track? I should really say the triple jump for Casey Kelly. Quickly, she goes down, puts up her first attempt of the season. Now diving on the floor, hustle play by Kayla Sledge. Draws a jump ball, and the arrow points Lynchburg's basket.
Yeah, great hustle in the early going and a good drive there by Kelly to really give herself an opportunity. But that does bring us to our under 5 timeout. Lynchburg and Marymount look very good here in the early going. Not many things they really need to change. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, so far so good. I think both these teams starting to find their rhythm. We've seen some fast pace. We've seen some slower pace. But, yeah, we have hit that under 5 timeout, and we'll go ahead and take it with them by telling you our score. It is Marymount 11, Lynchburg 8, 4:56 remaining in quarter number 1. Welcome back on LHSN. Sam Graham and Drew Watson. We're off to a blazing start. We've seen a pair of triples from Lynchburg, and on the other side, Marymount really getting it wherever they want in close, and that's pretty much the game plan for this Marymount team. They bring a lot of size to the table, and they're not going to get rattled. Obviously, Lynchburg down by 3 right now, but I'd venture to say even if Lynchburg jumped out to an early lead, this is not a Marymount team that's going to get too nervous.
No, and Lynchburg really trying to show something, or at least show their hand a little bit, using 10 different players already. Darcy Ross checked into that game, or into this game at that timeout there. So Lynchburg trying to get a lot of their experience into the game and try to kind of give a few different looks for Marymount here in the early going. It's been quite successful. A couple threes have fallen for Lynchburg. That's really the name of their game. So we'll see how Marymount starts to guard the perimeter, especially with Taylor Brown not in the contest.
Claire Smith diving on the ground after that loose ball. Casey Kelly did tie it up, but we just had a jump ball a moment ago, so possession arrow has swung back over Marymount's way, and that affords them the possession they're using right now. A swing out to the low baseline, and the basket is up and good. Second mid-range of the game from Chandler Edelston. Solid defense from Lynchburg there, but honestly, you really can't give Edelston any space once she gets inside the three-point line.
Yeah, she already knocked down those 2 mid-range jumpers, and that really seems to be where she kind of highlights herself. So Lynchburg is going to have to step out a little bit, but as soon as you do that, obviously has the pace to blow right by you. So that's a really tough matchup. That's why she's the player to watch today for Marymount.
Going inside, driving hard is Casey Kelly. Takes a little bit of contact applied by Edelston. No foul called. It will stay Lynchburg basketball. We got our first substitutions of the day for the Marymount side of things, as Kyla Treadwell will check in, and she will be joined by, I believe that's 35, that'd be Grace D'Amato. Checking out was Ava Achtel. Lynchburg immediately goes inside yet again, and out running is Marymount. Hornets have 3 defenders back. Marymount forced to slow down a tad. They give to Edelston again. She wanted the mid-range, passed out of it. And now reset for Marymount, 16 on the shot clock. Come near side, go down low, back to Edelston, and she can operate down low just fine as well. Edelston, a nice 6 points early on. She leads all scores. The Marymount lead is ballooned to 7 coming out of the break.
Yeah, the Saints very content in just playing in the half court, limiting Lynchburg's opportunities, and it's working for them so far.
Again, Lynchburg goes down low. This time it's Sever cutting to the basket. Sever is successful. First 2 points of the year for the now senior, Sammy Sever. See Darcy Ross pulled out to the three-point line defensively. It's again Edelston driving down low, and the Hornets have no answer for number 23 for Marymount. Chandler Edelston getting it everywhere she wants it. 8 points, and that draws an Allison Nichols timeout.
Yeah, not many answers so far for Lynchburg for Edelston. I think she's done an incredible job of taking advantage of the little bit of space she has on the elbows, getting those mid-range jumpers. And I mentioned it earlier, if you step out and guard that, especially with a little bit of a mismatch, she's going to take advantage of that by blowing right by you and laying it up and in. I mean, the player to watch today already has 8 points. We're not even done with the first quarter. You have to imagine she has a lot of kind of sights to have an incredible contest today. But Lynchburg hanging in there, only down 7, opening season against Marymount. I mean, an NCAA tournament team won their conference, almost won their first-round game against St. John's in the first round of the NCAA tournament. For Lynchburg, I mean, you have to be happy with how they're playing so far.
Well, building off your point, obviously our player to watch here, Edelston, for the road team, has got 8 points already. We're still in the first quarter. And on the flip side of that, our player to watch for Lynchburg is currently sitting on the bench right now, and that's your big enforcer down low. So you wonder how much longer we'll go. Taylor Brown is back on the floor now, so we'll see if that makes an impact on the low post scoring for Marymount. Foul is called. Going to go against Edelton. So we'll stay down here to our right. Inbounds goes to Letty Michael. Kayla Terry into the game as well. Expect to see her run the point with this crew here for Lynchburg. Another Lynchburg lineup that features 4 shooters and Taylor Brown down low. And Brown is posted up down low right now. Now with 3 on the shot clock, Lynchburg's going to have to shoot. They're not going to get a shot off. Credit to Casey Kelly working fast, but yeah, a little bit of indecision at the top of the key from the freshman Letty Michael. And it's going to lead to Lynchburg shot clock violation.
Yeah, and head coach Nichols was really talking a lot about trying to learn that college game and just how difficult it is. Obviously 3 new faces for Lynchburg. One of those having a lot of experience, but I mean 2 freshmen in the starting 5. At least you get to do it on your home floor. Lynchburg went on the road a lot to start the season last year, which really allowed a couple of these players to learn that way. But, I mean, tough to jump into your first college game.
Great play made on the ball there by Michael. Maybe redeeming that last shot clock violation because Marymount was out in space, wanted to run, and streaking to the basket with nobody on her there was Grace D'Amato. Had a clear line for a layup until Michael got her hand in the way of that passing lane, breaks up the fast break. So a big play defensively to keep the deficit at 7 for Lynchburg. We'll say on that previous defensive possession, Taylor Brown's impact certainly felt down low. Streaking in for the offensive rebound was Marymount. Instead, Taylor Brown corrals it herself, ends that possession in just 1 attempt. Of course, this time has the ball roll off her fingertips, unable to corral it on the baseline.
Yeah, but you can already tell here in the first quarter of the first game of the season, Lynchburg very happy trying to get the ball inside to Brown and give her opportunities against, I mean, I guess a couple paint defenders who were really good for Marymount. So you have to be kind of happy with what experience she's going to get from this game regardless of the outcome.
Good defense applied initially by Michael, but instead on the second wraparound by Ella Morrison, Marymount, the Saints, able to find her cutting to the basket. Got to watch out for that back door. Got to make sure that's locked, especially this time of the year. The wind might blow it open. You might give up 2 points down low. On the other side, Casey Kelly streaking to the basket. It's up and good. Foul called on the floor prior to that shot. It's the 4th against Marymount, and it will go against Kyla Treadwell, her first foul of the game. Terry checks out for Lynchburg. Mullins back in. Imagine we will have Brandstatter, Mullins, and Terry, one of those 3 on the floor at every point throughout this season. And Casey Kelly, finally they let a Casey Kelly basket count. There's no foul preceding it. Kelly's on the board with a pair.
Yeah, showing that burst of speed there from the elbow, just working her way towards the basket. Tough to defend that at any level, but Kelly making it look easy.
Driving right down to the baseline. Good defense. 2 Hornets there to alter that shot. Ball goes out of bounds. Pulling up there along the baseline for the mid-range was Treadwell, who just was called for the foul. Kayla Sledge and Darcy Ross checking back into the game for Lynchburg. So yeah, Coach Nichols not afraid to keep spinning those wheels and getting some fresh legs onto the floor. Inbounds pass comes out to the 3-point line. It's corralled there by Smith, who immediately goes down low. Edelton again, this time off the mark. Rebound falls right into her lap and nearly had an and-one opportunity. Instead, it'll be to the line to shoot 2 with 16 seconds left on the shot clock here. Marymount still leading by 7.
Yeah, Edelton doing her best to try and take advantage of a couple mismatches there. Kaysen with a trying to defend a little bit of a height advantage from Edelton, especially the way that she has put some of these shots up to this point. Very difficult to defend. I mean, fading away from you a little bit, there's not much you can do unless you have that height advantage. And when Sledge obviously had the rebound kind of bounce off her hand right into the hands of Edelton, it was tough for anyone to really recover. Obviously, the foul was the only way to truly get out of that.
So Edelton makes them both. She's already into double figures, and then, oh man, that's worst case scenario here for Lynchburg, who took over possession with 16 seconds left. Macy Mullins called for the travel. Just under 6 seconds remaining now in the first quarter. Lynchburg certainly was looking to take the last shot there instead. Now Marymount gonna have a chance with 4, dribble handoff. Inside the three-point line, the hook shot up and no good by Edelton. Marymount bench potentially calling for a foul, maybe not, but we have hit the end of the first quarter. A discussion between officials, though. Hold your horses. Marymount bench pleading, I believe, for a foul. There was contact, and Edelton hit the ground. Now she's walked to the free throw line. Yeah, not quite out of the woods yet of this first quarter, as Edelton's going to look for points number 11 and 12 in this first quarter. Not sure Lynchburg even going to sit anybody out on the block for these free throw tries. I guess they don't need to.
I think the only real issue, obviously there's going to be a little bit of time left, 0.2 seconds on the clock, but I mean, obviously that's a really close call there, last play of a quarter.
You rarely see that.
Yeah, and tough to see if it actually occurred before the shot was even going off. I think the shot might not have counted had it gotten off in the first place. It was a very tough call, but, I mean, obviously Lynchburg is now going to end the half down 11, and all the momentum is with the away side.
Yeah, that's a really tough pill to swallow, a really rough swing as you go from Lynchburg down by 9, 16 seconds to create a shot, potentially a three-pointer. You're down by 6, and the vibes are high at the end of the first quarter. Instead, you turn it over on the travel. Marymount takes back over and draws the foul. 2 more easy ones at the line. It's 12 points for Tara Edelton to lead all scorers, and we will take a break here as the first quarter is concluded by telling you our score. It's Marymount 23, Lynchburg 12.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities, learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the athletic training laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic in Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win.
Take a look again at that call right before the half. Yeah, that is a really close one. Hard to see if that foul did indeed occur before the light went off on the backboard, signaling the end of the quarter. Nonetheless, I mean, at the end of the day, right, Andrew, it's an 11-point deficit. Score's not going to change. You just got to go into the second quarter and try to flip some of this momentum for yourself. But very quickly, Marymount out and running, got a stop and a score. It's Ella Morrison on the bucket and close, and it's more the same for Marymount.
Yeah, and Lynchburg in their first possession of this quarter did a great job of getting an open look on the baseline, just not able to knock it down. But this will be the key today. If Lynchburg can knock down some threes, they'll work their way back into this contest.
Second opportunity here for Lynchburg off the Sledge rebound. Mullins putting up that three. That was the first one since well before the under 5 timeout in the first quarter. I believe that's only the third three-pointer attempted for Lynchburg on the day. No more than 4. Now a deep three for Letty Michael. Her first one was long. This one did have the distance, but left just on the front side of the rim, and then a foul underneath off the ball. Never mind, foul called against Letty Michael. I could have sworn it was on the floor down on the low post, but never mind. It'll be 3 free throws for Letty Michael.
Yeah, a little bit of contact on that shot, maybe kind of impeding on the space where Michael was landing. But I do agree with you. I did see that contact made onto the basket as well, and I assume if the first one against Marymount didn't happen, I would have assumed the second one would have been called as well. But 3 opportunities for Lynchburg, get some points without time running off.
Interesting look. Lynchburg brings out a second big down low. Darcy Ross starting this second quarter. Otherwise, 4 of the 5 game starters in there for Lynchburg right now. Brandstatter, Mullins, Michael, of course, who just went 3 for 3 at the line. That's an encouraging sign. And then Taylor Brown back into the game. But 3 big free throws there for Letty Michael. Cut this lead back down to 10.
Yeah, and also her first points on a college team, so very exciting there for Michael.
Shout out to Michael, North Davidson alum, right up the road from my hometown of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And there I believe we're saying, check me on this, I was looking down at my paper, Andrew, stepped on the baseline there, did Sarah Brandstatter.
I do believe it was actually a foul called against Letty Michael, maybe on that screen, just trying to give Brandstatter a little bit of space. And yeah, she was charged with her second foul there, so not an exciting thing for Lynchburg. Michael earning her second foul. Looks like Kaysen might be set to check in for her here.
Early season basketball, you know, it's our first game too. Hopefully I'll iron out the kinks here as we get into these first couple games into the second half, and, you know, we'll have a smooth call here in the third and fourth quarters. Marymount, it has been smooth sailing pretty much from wire to wire so far. Another basket in close, and starting to sound like a broken record up here.
Yeah, Lynchburg, we talked to head coach Allison Nichols before this contest. They mentioned a lot, you know, 5-out motion, kind of create those three-point shots, but obviously in the early going, Marymount dominating that painted area. Edelton already has 14 points, just almost 2 points short of her average of last year. So, I mean, Lynchburg trying to change things up. You mentioned earlier putting in 2 bigs to try and take away that 5-out motion. So maybe Lynchburg trying to find a little bit here.
4 points scored already in the second quarter, all of them on the low block here or cutting to the basket for Marymount. And now another turnover for Lynchburg. Hornets did a pretty good job early on protecting possession. But we had obviously the big travel called against Macy Mullins there at the end of the first quarter. Wound up in 2 free throws for Edelton. Now the give and go in close. Offensive rebound, Edelton. Yeah, there was contact there. Late whistle, but it does come and go against Darcy Ross. We'll have more free throws for Marymount.
Yeah, Marymount coming out hot. We'll take another look at that missed layup and then the foul going against Darcy Ross. But, I mean, in the early going, Lynchburg shooting 38%, Marymount shooting almost 50%. So, I mean, big difference there, and the paint has really been dominated by this visiting Saints team. Have attempted 3 three-pointers, have not been able to convert on any of them, which, you know, I mean, you look at the modern game, and that's really where everything's moving towards, but Marymount saying they can do it the old-fashioned way.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Obviously, Edelton has shown her ability to score from, you know, in close and the mid-range, but here Lynchburg giving her a lot of easy ones, too. I know we had the one right before the end of the quarter that was, you know, close, but end of the day, still counted, and she still stepped up to the line and knocked him down. That's the other thing. She's great at the free throw line, too, so it's really hard to take her out of the game. Lynchburg again offensively. It'll be a three-pointer going up from Brooke Kaysen. Not a lot of space to operate there for Kaysen. Goes ahead and takes the shot anyway. Dangerous point in the game right now as Marymount has jumped out to a 14-point lead. That ball dangerously close to the baseline. Another triple up, another miss for Shackelford. Tough start to the day from deep for Shackelford. She has not been afraid to try her luck. Hasn't had one drop so far. Brandstatter running downhill, draws the foul. And there we go. There's the vintage Sarah Brandstatter moment. Lynchburg is going to need a lot more of those. Brandstatter just puts her head down, gets to the basket, draws the contact in close. She'll shoot 2.
Yeah, and still looking for her first points here as a Hornet. I mean, we thought she might be someone to truly watch today. Obviously not the player of the game. Taylor Brown would have been that focal point for Lynchburg today on the inside, but those points are going to have to come from somewhere, and a lot of it could just be putting your head down, driving to the basket, giving yourself opportunities at the free throw line, and that's what Marymount did last time these two teams met. 37 free throws attempted in that contest.
0 for 2 trip to the line. Lynchburg gets the offensive rebound, kicks it back out to Brandstatter with a three-pointer off the mark as well. So that's a tough break there for Lynchburg. You got essentially 3 open looks. Missed all 3. So Brandstatter still acclimating to the new team. There's a good feed down low, left just a little out of the reach of Casey Kelly. She does corral it, but that had the potential to be an easy bucket for Lynchburg. Brandstatter going down low again. Kelly muscles the rebound away and draws the foul. It should be going against Shackelford.
Yeah, we'll take another look here. Brandstatter just driving, creating a little bit of space for her on the baseline, and then Kelly going right back up with it after the rebound. We talked about where that presence was going to come from in the painted area. Casey Kelly has really cemented herself as that player today for Lynchburg. Obviously, you bring in the freshman Taylor Brown, you bring in Letty Michaels, who's been on the outside quite often, but I mean, adjusting to the college game is something that's really tough to do. And so Lynchburg having a little bit of experience here, especially against Marymount, is doing them a little bit of good.
Well, you just love the effort that Kelly provides off the bench. Probably will not see her start, this year for Lynchburg. At least don't expect to, but you love having her as that 6th, 7th person, coming off the bench early on. And she just injects a lot of life into this team. Fantastic athlete, national qualifier in the triple jump this past spring. Her first season ever competing. So, obviously a very hard worker, but also just a lot of just natural athletic ability there for Casey Kelly. That's something Coach Nichols touched on when we spoke yesterday. But Marymount, it's the visitors, the Saints, that knocked down the first triple of this second quarter. They've now doubled Lynchburg up. This is a big offensive possession for the Hornets. Hitting the deck there was Mullins. Little contact from behind, and Mullins will go to the line. So it's interesting. Brooke Kaysen put up a shot from deep, a couple possessions ago that was pretty solidly contested. Since then, Lynchburg electing more often than not to actually drive it down low, go into the paint. If nothing else, they're drawing some fouls on Marymount, getting them into a little bit of trouble in that realm. But got to see these free throws start to get knocked down a little more. There have been some early struggles there at the line.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the struggles for Lynchburg right now have really just come because Marymount is guarding the perimeter so well. I mean, you mentioned earlier Kaysen took that three-pointer and immediately said there was pretty much a hand in her face while she was taking that shot. So the Saints have done a really good job of taking away Lynchburg's advantage, which is that perimeter game, and really forcing them to get inside, which is maybe why Lynchburg is going there oh so often.
Lynchburg stays in man defense. A lot of patience there for Marymount, and this time it pays off, but the bunny missed in close. Tara DeZambo, you're not going to get a much better look than that. Just might have been surprised at how open she was. Sort of lulled the Lynchburg defense to sleep and then turned on the burners, but leaves the layup just shy as Macy Mullins called for her second travel of the evening. That will take us to the under 5 timeout with 4:53 to go in the second quarter. The lead has ballooned to 15, and we will take the break right here with them. The media timeout. Again, 4:53 remaining in the first half with Marymount leading 32-17. Back inside Turner Gymnasium, a 15-point lead for the visitors. Marymount has gotten hot as of late, playing their brand of basketball. And Andrew, you wonder, two key inactives tonight for Lynchburg. Bree Spainhour was last year's leading rebounder, and then Ashley Vandergrift, one of the best three-point percentage shooters for this Lynchburg team and in the conference, also inactive, probably will miss the first several weeks of the season.
Yeah, I do believe Vandergrift will be back just in time for ODAC play, but obviously Bree Spainhour, also on the volleyball team here at Lynchburg, has unable to truly been practicing with this Lynchburg side, but I mean, obviously doing some work on her own. But I think the Hornets have done a really good job of kind of playing well in her absence. Bree Spainhour applied a lot of pressure in the paint. Casey Kelly, Kayla Sledge, Taylor Brown really making up for that in the early going of this season. Once you add those two pieces back into the lineup, obviously 11 different Lynchburg players getting playing time today. I mean, it's going to create just another look for other teams.
Lynchburg had their pick of a shot clock violation or a travel down there on the floor. They got the travel on the floor, and then Olivia Harris turns it into points on the other side. So good looks on both sides of the ball for Lynchburg coming out of the media timeout.
Yeah, definitely a positive sign, especially when you trail by 15. You can work your way back before halftime, pick up the momentum.
Good double team on the near side. Ball swings around. Lynchburg, good job closing out here on the perimeter. Again, the shot clock dwindles down to 7. Marymount going to have to make a decision, driving to the bucket. Tough shot. Lynchburg had two players in the area unable to come down with the defensive rebound. Marymount going to try to make them pay. This time it's Kelly battling for it. Third opportunity for Marymount. Three-pointer in the corner off the mark, and now Lynchburg can run. Olivia Harris cutting to the basket, guarded by DeZambo. Late whistle and a foul called against DeZambo. I thought in the moment she caught Harris's arm, but that whistle came in late.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of contact between the ball and the hand there from DeZambo on Harris, but good job by Harris to push down the court, create an opportunity. I think that's all you're really looking for. You want to see that shot go down, but at the same time, I mean, if you can put Harris at the free throw line, who's been a very effective free throw shooter for this Hornets side the last couple of years, I mean, that's really what you're working towards. Easy points are pretty much the name of the game right now for Lynchburg, and that'll be the only way they can truly work themselves back into this contest.
Doing a good job getting to the line. Obviously, the next part of the puzzle is knocking down those free throw shots. Yeah, Olivia Harris, a good one from the line. Really good shooting from wherever she is on the floor. Junior from Salem, Virginia, has led this team in scoring each of the last 2 seasons. A slight dip in her production a year ago, just a hair under 10 points per game, but again, did lead the team. And how about breaking on the ball? I'll tell you what, Casey Kelly mentioned national qualifier in the triple jump. Obviously, we know what she can do on the basketball court, but breaking on that ball like a cornerback as well. So Casey Kelly signed her up for just about any sport. Collision, friendly fire, Casey Kelly and Macy Mullins in the chaos. A three goes up. Outside on the perimeter. Second opportunity once again coming for Marymount. Edelton has it out on the far wing, comes inside, just inside the free throw line. The shooting starting to take a little bit of a dip there for Edelton. Lynchburg, how about 3 straight scoreless possessions defensively?
Yeah, ever since that timeout they took the under 5 one, I mean, they've come out with a different intensity on the defensive end, but I'm not sure how much of it is really them stepping up and applying pressure. As you see that foul there, Harris just trying to work her way across midcourt, but I think a lot of it is that they're getting that key rebound. I mean, Marymount is getting second opportunities, third opportunities, but when that shot doesn't go in and Lynchburg has the advantage in the paint, they're not letting it just fall to the hands of a Marymount player.
Harris back at the line, leaves the first one just a bit short. Clangs off the front of the iron. Again, junior guard, good size, 5'8", great touch from deep. Harris makes good on the second one. Hey, just like that, lead is down to 10. And obviously, if you're Coach Nichols, any coach, probably not always fully satisfied with the play of your team. And, you know, Lynchburg's left some points there on the board at the free throw line. Could be even closer than it is, but nonetheless, with 2.5 minutes to go, Lynchburg's defensive efforts picked up a lot. And again, the lead down to just 10 for Marymount. Outside shot would have been a backbreaker for this Lynchburg defensive effort. Instead, it's off the mark, and now friendly fire on the Saints side of things.
Yeah, great job there for Kelly to really box out create that havoc. I mean, both Marymount players were trying to fight for that ball, not maybe knowing that it was their own teammate. We'll take another look at that there. Good box out, a little bit of a collision between Kelly and Edelton. But either way, Lynchburg, you mentioned earlier the free throws, only shooting 53% right now, but they've gotten to the line 15 times. That already eclipsed how many times they got to the line against Marymount last season, which is really a key in this contest today.
Getting a chance to really see this motion offense now, sort of the way it's supposed to look for Lynchburg. Everybody doing a pretty good job moving without the ball, but now Sever stranded a bit out by the three-point line. She goes inside. Taylor Brown, first collegiate points for Taylor Brown down low. Assist, Sammy Sever. Lead down to 8 for Marymount. All the momentum Lynchburg's way right now. Can the Saints come up with a big basket? Nearly got tricked into a travel there, driving to the bucket. Saints go to their leading scorer, Edelton, and that's the right place to go. Edelton again cutting to the basket, gets freed up underneath, converts on the layup. Mullins dribble handoff. Kelly goes right at first, back to her left. Brown trying to tap out the rebound. Instead, gets a Marymount fast break going. 3-on-2. They go to the three-point line. Best look of the day, still rattles in and out. The three-pointer off the mark once again for Marymount. That time, Kyla Treadwell.
Yeah, Lynchburg doing really good on the defensive end, but Marymount has a couple of very clean looks in transition. Obviously, Edelton working her way through the paint, getting the open layup, and then that open three on the far side. But Marymount, who started out hitting almost every single one of their shots in the early part of the first quarter, has kind of slowed down just a little bit to really let Lynchburg grab the momentum here in Turner.
Under a minute to go, first half. Lynchburg looking to cut the deficit back under 10. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Force out behind the three-point line was Kaysen. Now with Mullins driving, pull-up, mid-range, rattles around and in. Lynchburg back under the 10-point threshold, and Macy Mullins starting to find her shot. 6 points in the game. Big defensive possession now for Lynchburg, about a 3-second disparity between shot and game clock as they look to go 2 for 1 here. And they're going to get 2. Travel called against Treadwell. I'll tell you what, it's been a tough stretch here in the second quarter for Treadwell. And whereas this happened, Lynchburg giving the ball back over to Marymount on a travel at the end of the first quarter. Now, slipper on the other foot, and Lynchburg with 18 seconds to go is going to face the Marymount press, but they have a chance to get this thing within 5 or 6 points. Gotta love the response from Lynchburg. Now with 10, it's Mullins. Working to her left, a little bit of separation, pulls up, shot left shy. Harris at the horn, in and out. Lynchburg was a couple of inches away from cutting this down to a 5-point margin at the half, but nonetheless, Andrew, if you're Coach Nichols, you got to be pretty happy with how your team responded the final 4:53 of that second quarter.
Yeah, you have to be really excited. Obviously, your first contest of the year coming out on your home floor against an NCAA tournament team came out just a little bit flat. I mean, obviously, we're in the game at that first under 5 media timeout in the first quarter, but since then, Marymount kind of took advantage of a couple of mistakes on the defensive end, and then Lynchburg in the second half of that second quarter really came out, and it all started on the defensive end, keeping Marymount from adding to their score. I mean, Lynchburg is in a really great spot right now.
Things are heating up on Wayne Proffitt Court. It's opening night, first day out, and Lynchburg, a little bit of the momentum as we have hit the half. It's Marymount 34, Lynchburg 26.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Look what you're missing! It really don't matter to me, I'm just happy to be here, I might go crazy.
taught me to strive and be the best athlete I can be, but also the best student I can be. My coaches always made sure that the student comes first, because not everyone's gonna become a professional athlete. So they make sure that we will do great in academic. I knew that would only open the door to my future, and I'm really excited to start my dream program for physical therapy.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess.
An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
A single thread is unique. Like each of us, full of purpose and potential. A strand designed to connect, strengthen, and unite. But we face different challenges and have different opportunities. By acknowledging that others may struggle in ways we do not, we can celebrate our differences, embrace each other, and fortify the ties among us. A single thread can fray, yet when it's woven with another, a bond forms. A new strength created by the fabric of the whole. Let's embrace the fabric we make together, the diversity of our threads, to reach beyond ourselves and overcome the impossible. The true power of our game comes from unifying our individual backgrounds, connecting our unique stories, enabling us to be stronger, braver, greater. We can achieve so much more when we are all as one.
What a season. The confetti is going to fall. There she goes, and she's got it. How sweet is this, and how wonderful for the sport.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Welcome to the Campus Recreational Department at the University of Lynchburg. We believe in a student-centered approach to recreation, making sure that all students have fun and engaging activities that promotes wellness, personal growth, and community building.
Our team works to provide a variety of recreation opportunities for all our undergrad and graduate students.
Let's take a look at the different areas of Campus Rec.
Campus Recreation covers all outdoor recreation. Our team offers dozens of trips per semester, maintains recreation facilities on campus, and offers outdoor certificates and leadership training.
Intramurals is open to all students who wants to play on a team. We have men's, women's, and co-ed leagues for each sport we offer.
Those looking for next level competition can join club sports. These are student-led organizations with the support of Campus Recreation. You can join one of our established club sports, or you can start your own with our support.
Campus Recreation offers an excellent amount of opportunities to stay active, make new friends, and develop new skills. We hope to see you soon.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually.
Well, take a look at some of the highlights from that first half. There was a triple from Olivia Harris. She's been the leading scorer each of the last 2 seasons, and she as the leading scorer at the break for Lynchburg as well. 8 points in the first half for Olivia Harris. The first collegiate points there for Taylor Brown down low. And then Sarah Brandstatter battling it out for a rebound. We've seen a lot of effort from Brandstatter. Still waiting, though, on those first points from the grad transfer from Roanoke. And after it all, it is a 34-26 Marymount lead as we have hit the break. But Lynchburg won the second quarter by a score of 14-11 and outshot and outscored Marymount 9-2 after the media timeout at 4:53 to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you look right there, Lynchburg was down 16 at one point in this game, works it all the way back to just 8, which, I mean, seems like a crazy comment coming out of my mouth, but at the same time, I feel like all the momentum is for Lynchburg, and those turnovers really for Marymount all came, I feel like, late in that second quarter. And, you know, a turnover not necessarily counted on there, all those missed opportunities, 3, maybe 4 shots in a possession for Marymount, not able to capitalize. And that last highlight you saw, Ella Morrison knocking down the only three-pointer of the contest for Marymount. So, I mean, we mentioned it in the early going, Marymount does not make their money from the perimeter. They really go inside and do it. Edelton has shown that with 18 points. Rebounds similar, not exactly what we thought we were going to see in this contest. Lynchburg doing a good job of defending Marymount, not only on the perimeter, but in the inside as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we expect those three-point numbers to come up as we get into the second half. Obviously, 9% unlikely to continue for Marymount, but still, and I mean, Olivia Harris had a block closing out on the perimeter as well. So Lynchburg has done a good job. I can only think of 1 or 2 truly open looks that Marymount has tried to capitalize on from deep. But Lynchburg on the other side shooting a little under where we would expect them to be from 3. And again, it's night 1. It's the first game of a long season. There might be a lid on the basket to a certain degree that might go away as we get into the second half and certainly deeper into the season. I mean, Marymount controlling most aspects of the game, but again, I know Lynchburg's down by 8, but like you said, it feels like they have all the momentum. I mean, they've committed 10 turnovers, but again, they're right here in the game. So, we'll see if the trends from our first half continue, but Marymount, leading Lynchburg in points off turnovers, leading Lynchburg in points in the paint, leading on second chance points, fast breaks. And Lynchburg getting good contributions from their bench area, but again, really going deep into that bench and early on as well. Macy Mullins played 18 minutes. Nobody else played more than 12. So Lynchburg certainly utilizing the depth of their roster.
Yeah, and Lynchburg, I think you mentioned Macy Mullins. Olivia Harris leading the way with 8 points. Mullins with 6, and then everyone else kind of just 2 points here, 3 points there, just kind of adding to that tally. I think if you're Lynchburg, you don't really want to see one player stand out. I mean, it's not something you turn down. Let's say Olivia Harris gets hot, knocks down a couple 3-pointers to start the second half. You obviously welcome that, but you also want to see that scoring spread all the way out across this team. 12 different players getting an opportunity to play already today. So it'll be a very interesting second half here from Turner Gymnasium.
And taking a look real quick before we go back to break on some of our numbers that stand out individually from that first half. Chandler Edelton's been pretty much unstoppable. Slowed down a tad going into the break those last 4 or 5 minutes of the second quarter, but she's got 18 points to go with 3 rebounds there from the first half. So offensively, she has certainly been the go-to player for Marymount. 2 assists apiece for Claire Smith and Tara DeZambo. And Claire Smith also leading Marymount in rebounds with 4. She adds 3 points to that total. And for Lynchburg, Olivia Harris, as we said, leading the way, 8 points at the break to go along with 3 rebounds and 1 assist. One of 5 Lynchburg players with an assist. Kayla Sledge leading the way with 4 rebounds. Through the game's first 20 minutes, we got 20 more on the other side of this next break. Lynchburg and Marymount battling it out on night 1 of the regular season. Second half just about to get underway. Sam Graham and Drew Watson walking you through night 1 of the regular season. Lynchburg and Marymount, 8-point Marymount lead, and it will be the Saints to start off with possession. It'll be in the hands of point guard Samantha Shackelford, and we are underway in half number 2. Marymount again probing down to the low post first with Edelton. Now on the drive, losing her dribble and thus her momentum there. It's Claire Smith driving down low. Again, the ball with Shackelford. She goes back to Smith. Time is running out. Deep 2-point shot off the mark. Long rebound hustled down by the visitors. Claire Smith comes up with it, her 5th rebound of the game.
Yeah, Marymount doing well getting that long rebound there, but seeming very comfortable late in shot clocks in this contest. Lynchburg has done a great job of putting the Saints in those situations. This possession not dealt with yet, however.
Looks like Michael's got a piece of that last shot. It slowly trickled its way on out of bounds, and that will keep it on this end of the floor. But just 4 seconds to operate with here for Marymount. Deep 2 again goes up. Tough rebound, corralled by Edelton, and that is a 20-piece for Tara Edelton.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier Brooke Kaysen just in an unfortunate situation right there. Edelton gets the rebound already with that momentum going up, and there's not much that many people on the floor can really do to stop that, especially with someone like Edelton who already has 20 points. And not something you want to see there, an early turnover for Lynchburg.
Yeah, this has pretty much been the opposite of what we saw coming out of that under 5 timeout in the second quarter. On this end, it's Marymount capitalizing off 3 or 4 chances there on the offensive side before finally coming up with a bucket, and then Lynchburg immediately turns it over. Pass a little too high to be corralled by Macy Mullins. Back to the defensive side for Lynchburg, back to work offensively for Marymount. It's Shackelford again with the shot clock rolling down. Mullins gets caught up on a Shackelford screen, going in close and finishing through the contact. For Marymount is Tara DeZambo.
Yeah, great move there by DeZambo just to get that rebound. It was her own shot that she put up and followed that shot quite well. Not much that any Lynchburg defender in the area could do to stop that one, and then did very well to put up the acrobatic shot and knock that one down, trying to convert on the old-fashioned three-point play here to give the Saints possibly a 13-point lead here early in half number 2.
Taylor Brown out, Kayla Sledge in. Sledge 4 rebounds in that first half to lead all Lynchburg players. Tied for the game lead as DeZambo makes good on the three-point play. It's 5 points here for DeZambo early in the second half. Lynchburg once again facing a 13-point deficit. Brandstatter running the point for the Hornets. Kaysen looking for help on the wing. Her pass for Brandstatter, breaking on it was Edelton and knocks it out of bounds. Lynchburg with 13 seconds to work and 8:01 on the game clock is Sarah Brandstatter. Set to inbound for Lynchburg. Set a high screen for Mullins, unable to get it to her. Climbing the rope and pulling it down is Kayla Sledge to avoid a Lynchburg turnover. Now with 8, far away from the bucket is Macy Mullins. Turn again, pivot down low on the block. Brandstatter, the second opportunity, and she's got her first points in a Lynchburg uniform.
Yeah, not exactly the way you would thought those first 2 points here in Turner Gymnasium would come, getting an offensive rebound and putting it up through a lot of contact. Officials this evening have done a good job of letting both these teams play. Hope that doesn't come back to bite them later in the contest, however.
Driving to the bucket, nobody came up to meet her on her way there. Tara DeZambo, the storyline early in the second half. Driving to the basket, another 2 points for Marymount, and DeZambo's got 7. Now breaking on the ball, it's another Lynchburg turnover. Can Kaysen get back in time? Driving is Claire Smith, and whistled for the foul. Trying to get back was Letty Michaels.
That one is going to be her 3rd foul of the contest. A great steal there by Claire Smith, getting out in transition, and then that hesitation on the shot obviously draws the foul. A tough one there for Michael, who picks up her 3rd foul early here in the second half, and that'll lead us to a timeout.
Yeah, Coach Nichols has seen enough, and with 7:06 remaining in the third, she's going to go ahead and use the first of her 3, actually have a discrepancy here. It should be the first of her 3 timeouts here in the quarter. Looks like we have 4 from Marymount right now, so we'll see if that gets fixed, because I'm pretty sure we have not seen another timeout called by Coach Nichols. But anyway, that doesn't change the point. This lead is, kind of ballooned back up and just hung right around that 13-point mark now, as we got about 3 minutes gone by here in the third quarter. And Lynchburg sort of back to scrambling a little bit. They look a little bit caught off guard here as we start out the second half.
Yeah, and Marymount just came out with a little bit of pace and a little bit of pressure that they really didn't have late in that first half. I think Lynchburg really did a good job of taking advantage of Marymount's mistakes to end that first half, to work their way back into a single-digit contest. But since then, I think the Saints have really come in and not made too many mistakes in total, and Lynchburg hasn't really had the opportunity on the offensive end. I mean, they really haven't had an offensive possession that has been positive for them here in this second half. Obviously, those 2 points. But, I mean, Marymount has really come out first about 3 minutes of this second half and truly dominated.
Well, Andrew, I'll tell you what got Lynchburg going, at least in my estimation there at the end, second half of that second quarter. The turnovers were cut out, and obviously the defense tightened up a bit. Also had some help from some Marymount misses and close. That has not continued here in the third quarter. Case in point. as the basket is scored by Ava Achtel. First time we've called her name in a bit. Achtel picked up 2 fouls in the first half. Saw her go to the bench for a bit. Now the lead is 15 for Marymount. Another Harris three. Lynchburg would have loved that. Rattles in and out. Foul goes against Lynchburg, trying to come up with that rebound. So now Marymount with the ball, looking to extend to their largest lead of the game. Currently, that is 16. But now with the ball on a 15-point advantage, Marymount going to be hungry for more.
And if you're Lynchburg, you have to be careful. Obviously, you want to keep this game close, but 15 points is not a margin that you can't overcome. I mean, still the majority of this second half remaining. I mean, you just have to find a couple of baskets and hope that Marymount stops the hot streak. I mean, Harris had an open three, couldn't knock it down, so things just not going too well for the Hornets at the moment.
Pass out in transition, the pick and the score. It's a pick 6 for the visitors. Marymount strikes again. It is a 19-point lead for the visitors, and after capturing all the momentum coming out of the media timeout, Lynchburg has been blindsided here to start the second half. Third quarter, just about nothing has gone right.
Yeah, largest lead of the game for Marymount, up 19 points. I mean, we came out of the second half very kind of hopeful for what this Lynchburg team could put together in the second half, and I'm not saying they're done in this contest, but right now Marymount holds a lot of the momentum. Edelton up to 24 points. I mean, we talked to head coach Nichols, and she mentioned just how good Edelton was and how they planned to really stop her on the offensive end, and I think Lynchburg had those ideas early on, but Edelton did well to knock down some mid-range jumpers. Obviously, in transition there's not much you can do to stop that, but the majority of the points are coming from Edelton, 24 of the 47, and then from there, I mean, the three-point line is not necessarily a factor. Everything is inside, and Lynchburg struggling to defend inside the paint. So I think that's the real key for this Hornet team here. I mean, even in the next minute, 12 seconds before that under 5 timeout, I think if you can grab just a little bit of the momentum, only scoring 2 points so far in the first just about 4 minutes of this second half, I mean, momentum will go a long way to help you work yourself back into the contest, and things are not going too well for them at the moment. But, I mean, a couple changes here and there. Head coach Allison Nichols has been in this spot before, and obviously changes are on their way for the Hornets.
Well, this is the time of year that the Heisman race heats up in college football. I know it's night 1 here for women's basketball, but tell you what, Edelton's certainly going ahead and making her case for an All-American bid here on night 1. She's well on her way to a 30-point opener. Hitting the ground again is Casey Kelly. Marked down another hustle play for number 20 in white. That'll keep it on this end of the floor as Sammy Sever will check in. Macy Mullins will come out for just the second time tonight. Played all but about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of this game so far. Harris thought had an open look for 3, instead puts it on the floor, drives down to the baseline, and leaves the 2-point try off the mark. Then the hustle play by Harris, knocking it off the leg of the Marymount fast break attempt. Take a look at it again. Harris, the first one too. It probably could have just thrown the old body shield and just let that one go out of bounds, but instead goes ahead and shows off the athleticism a little bit.
Yeah, now Marymount really intend to step up and apply pressure. Try and put pressure on these Lynchburg guards, putting the ball in play, but obviously once they get it in, not too much worried about pressuring the ball.
Certainly been happy to set up that press anytime Lynchburg's got to inbound it from under the basket. Now turning around and firing in close. Lynchburg picking up another 2 points from Darcy Ross.
Ross's first 2 points of the season. You hope she's a good role player coming off the bench for this Lynchburg side, but it's all going to start in the paint for the Hornets if they want to work their way back into this contest.
Kelly unable to work the position game now there down under the basket. Rebound falls right into the hands, right back to Marymount. Marked down another offensive board and quickly converting upon it. More second chance points than Kelly. Off the nice feed from Sever, leaves it a little bit shallow. And still just 4 points in the third for Lynchburg. Down low we go again. Pump fake, couple pump fakes down low, and another basket in the paint for this Marymount team, who now leads by 21. That time, basket coming from Claire Smith. Sever, crossover, gets close to the basket, not gonna happen, but it will stay on this end, and that should take us to our media timeout here in the third quarter. I may stand corrected. There's a chance they say that the timeout taken by Lynchburg at the 6:12 mark just suffices as our media timeout, so we'll see if the next dead ball we don't get one. We'll just assume that we aren't gonna have one. Harris turning, nothing but net, but it's the bottom portion. Offensive struggles continue for Lynchburg, and Marymount hungry for more.
Yeah, Lynchburg really searching for something here in the second half, trying out a couple different players. Sever came in, gave Lynchburg a little bit of a lift off the bench. Now Kaysen back into the contest. Harris had an opportunity as well, but I mean, no one really stepping up to this point for the Hornets.
Shackelford, a great find along the baseline. Grace D'Amato standing there all alone, felt like she needed a friend. Lends a helping hand. Assist goes to Shackelford, and the lead is 23 for Marymount. Lynchburg needs a basket. It needs a string of them, and it needs them fast. Not much heat on that pass from Terry. Now an okay look at a three from Kaysen. It's off the mark. Lynchburg's going to need that three-point ball to start falling here sooner or later. If a comeback bid is to be, here facing a 23-point deficit, 3:15 to go in the third quarter. Good rebound down low from Darcy Ross. Boxes out D'Amato, pulls it down for the Hornets. Sever trying to run. And slows it back down, breaking on the ball. Olivia Harris's pass picked off, and then slowing it down in no hurry now is Marymount. One dribble, strong take. Off the mark there for Claire Smith. Lynchburg trying to get out and run again. It's Sever, and Sever another pair. And a timeout taken immediately after by Coach. No, excuse me, they pointed at Coach Nichols. It's a timeout taken by Marymount. So the lead is 21. We'll go ahead and take this timeout with them with 2:39 to go in the third quarter. Lynchburg gets a basket from Sammy Sever, but still facing a large hole with 2:39 to go in the third. Back to basketball on this, the 8th night of November. The 2023-24 season officially underway, and gotta love the start here for Marymount. If your head coach Margaret White, now in her third season at the helm of the program, building upon a trip to the NCAA tournament and a conference championship a year ago, with a commanding lead on the road here, game one, looking to start out 1-0.
Yeah, and last year we mentioned Lynchburg started on the road quite a bit in the early going of the season. I mean, Marymount not necessarily in the same boat, but an early test here on the road, and Marymount has really proven themselves to be, I don't want to go out on a limb and say it, but another NCAA tournament team this year. I think they return everyone. So, I mean, it's a tough contest for Lynchburg, but talking to head coach Allison Nichols before this contest, she said she wasn't too worried about the result. I mean, anytime you welcome a team of this quality into your home gym on opening night, yes, there's some promise. Yes, there's some hope to be very successful. But at the same time, I mean, you're letting 3 newcomers here in this gym, I mean, get their first opportunities to play. There's going to be some learning moments. And, you know, the ODAC's competitive, and she sees them being very competitive in that conference. So I think Lynchburg is going to have to take advantage of these early opportunities, even though they're not necessarily playing to their best of their ability in this game right now.
Good job tying up that ball. Good hustle play there from Taylor Brown. Not afraid to go after the ball there, though sadly for the Lynchburg fans, Lynchburg faithful, the possession arrow does point Marymount's way. And yeah, you know, I don't think it's, you know, taboo or anything to go out on a limb here, even in night one. Sometimes you can just tell with some of these teams, the way they operate, the way they play. I mean, we got a chance to see Mary Washington game one on the men's side last year, and really from the jump, and it continued throughout the year, they just looked like a top 25 team. So, you know, it's a similar type deal here with this Marymount team here tonight. They're experienced. They bring back the same starting five from last year, as the three is knocked down by D'Amato, and the lead is 23. I mean, the expectations are sky high for Marymount. It's a team that only lost 5 games a year ago. And again, when you bring everybody back, you can expect only to get better, if not at least maintain that same level of play.
And I mean, it's been nearly the same starting five the last 3 years, working that same rotation. So it's a Saints team that's very experienced, especially playing a lot of these ODAC teams. And, you know, they almost play that kind of schedule where you play the best of the conference, and then you go to your own conference. You go 11-1 2 years in a row, get upset in the tournament 2 years ago, and obviously revenge last year. And they're looking to be well on their way to try and complete something very similar this season.
Well, we said we were pretty sure the three-point percentage was going to start to come up for both teams. We're halfway there. Back-to-back makes from Marymount, doubles their three-pointers made in the first half. And now the lead is 26. Lynchburg trying to answer. The three-point ball has just not been there tonight. Mullins trying again. That one draws nothing. Sever again hustling after the rebound, but she does not get to it before it goes out of bounds. Good effort from the senior. Now with 4 seconds to go, we'll see if that's enough time for Marymount to set something up offensively. Comes inbound to Samantha Bulick. Bulick gives off to Ali Vizindi, and Vizindi's three-point try at the horn is left off the mark, slightly wide, so the lead does stay at 26 with 10 minutes to go. We're through 3 on LHSN, night 1 of the women's basketball regular season, and it's all Marymount, a 26-point lead for the Saints as we enter the fourth quarter.
Get your career in the game by enrolling in the University of Lynchburg MBA program with an emphasis in sport management. This program opens the doors to new possibilities for a variety of careers, from being an athletic director or working in athletic administration to working for professional organizations, your favorite team, to running a local Parks and Rec department. And employers are increasingly requesting and preferring individuals who have postgraduate education, specifically looking for an MBA. And so the University of Lynchburg Sport Management concentration in the MBA program sets you up for success, and it sets you apart from the many other people looking for jobs in the industry. Learn from winners. Here you will learn from professors and mentors who have spent their careers doing exactly what you want to do. Increase your marketability in an $83 billion industry. If you have a 3.0 GPA, the GMAT is waived. There's no application fee, admissions occurs on a rolling basis, and our online program is ideal for working adults. When you enroll in this program, you enroll.
Fourth quarter underway. It's a 26-point advantage for the visitors. Again, only 8 points separated these two teams at the half, but Marymount making the most of that third frame. How about Kayla Terry grabbing an offensive rebound, but then in her attempt to pivot does travel. That's the fourth travel of the game called against Lynchburg. Not a great start here to the fourth quarter, but again, you still look for positive signs as you get into this final frame. Patient early in the shot clock. Shackelford with it right now, working off of a high screen. Good look along the baseline. Is left off the mark by Chandler Edelton. Edelton 24 points on the day. She had 18 at the half. A quiet 6 there in the third quarter. But steadily adding to her total. She very well may be on her way for 30. This time they work it in close. The cutter passes it off. The cutter becomes the passer, and there's 2 more for Edelton. She's up to 26.
Yeah, Lynchburg really struggling to find any answer for this Marymount half-court offense. They've done an incredible job of really working themselves into favorable positions. Edelton has just been that key piece today, and I think a lot of it has to do with the ball movement. She's been in the right place at the right time. More transition points, however, for the visitors. Give the Saints a 30-point lead.
Yeah, Brandstatter absorbing the contact there in close, but unable to draw iron. As Kayla Terry will put up the first triple of the second half for Lynchburg. But then quickly getting out in transition there was Tara DeZambo. Points in the paint. Going crazy for Marymount. Now the 3 ball starting to go crazy as well. That time Samantha Shackelford knocking down her first one of the game. That puts the lead right back up to 30. She answers Kayla Terry's 3 ball with one of her own.
I mean, yeah, and Marymount, you mentioned it earlier. Their 3-point percentage in the first half, not too high, and I think Lynchburg was really trying to take advantage of that as they came out into the second half. I mean, trying to force them to the perimeter to make those shots, and I think maybe once the first 2 fell, as we take a look at Kayla Terry's knockdown jumper there in front of the men's basketball team watching here, and then immediately answered by Marymount. But I think Lynchburg really tried to defend that perimeter and kind of, you know, take advantage of those opportunities. The first couple go down and you're kind of scratching your head and you think, all right, now where are we really going to get our points from? Because if they're knocking down threes with an advantage already, we thought we knew what they were going to draw up on offense. We don't. I mean, Lynchburg has done well to adjust, and they've had a lot of open looks. I think the game plan has really been there for Lynchburg, but the shots just not falling here, at least in the first contest of the year. And I think a lot of that will change as the year goes on and when you start to see a little bit of more familiar opponents when you get to ODAC play, which I should mention does start in just about a week. So I think Lynchburg playing at Randolph on November 15th, that a week from today. So Lynchburg will have to really get prepared for ODAC play very quickly. And I think even though this contest is not going the way that they want it to, I mean, there's a lot of learning opportunities. There's not many teams in the conference who are going to play the way that Marymount does.
Casey Kelly receiving that pass in stride, draws the foul. Haven't seen a lot of that here as we've gotten into the second half for Lynchburg either. Did a great job in the second quarter of getting themselves to the line as Taylor Gant has checked into the game for the first time tonight for Lynchburg. Senior guard. Kelly back to the line. 3 points on the day for Kelly. Certainly made an impact on this game. Leaves that first free throw a bit short. Yeah, the shot percentage is just not quite where Lynchburg would have hoped here for game 1. But again, that's something that can be all or nothing early in the season. Sometimes the shots just don't fall those first couple games as you're warming up. Sometimes they do, and you know, Lynchburg on the former of those 2 possibilities here in game 1. But again, sometimes there's just a little bit of luck involved. Kelly going up strong to contest against Edelton. She's going to be whistled for the foul. Disappointment on the side of Casey Kelly. Second foul of the day for her to go with those 4 points. Edelton back to the line with 26, now just 4 points away from 30 in the game. Interesting to note, no one else on either side has reached double figures yet. This has been the Chandler Edelton game. Resetting now, the largest lead of the day is Marymount at 31. That'll send Edelton back over to the sidelines. See if we see her again. She's been in and out of the lineup really throughout the evening. She's gotten some time to rest here in between what's been a great offensive performance. Again, going strong into the paint is Casey Kelly. Another 2 points for the sophomore wing.
Yeah, anytime Kelly has really stepped into this game today, I feel like there's been a jolt of energy in this Lynchburg side. I mean, obviously it hasn't translated on the scoreboard, but Casey Kelly has come in with a lot more speed than maybe a couple different players for Marymount would have expected, and has created a lot of different opportunities for Lynchburg, not only in the paint but also to kick it out. Just not able to take advantage of those opportunities in full today.
Kelly the rebound on the last possession. Now another shot goes off the backboard too strong, rolls off the rim. Lynchburg fighting for the board. Long feet ahead. Corralled, put back up in stride, and scored by Tara DeZambo. 2 more points in transition for Marymount. The Saints starting to excel at every aspect of this game. Michael's an open 3, still looking for her first. Kelly going up for the rebound, unable to get to it before DeZambo could. Ball swings back to DeZambo. Marymount works along the baseline and resets now top of the key. Samantha Bulick waiting to come back in for the Saints. A trio of Hornets at the scorer's table. Travel gonna go against Emily Nabel there. First time we've called her name tonight, not necessarily in a positive light. But again, that's probably something with a 31-point lead here, 6:16 to play. Coach Margaret White probably going to be able to live with that.
Yeah, now the time for either side to really feel kind of some different things out on either side. I think Lynchburg obviously giving a couple different players some opportunities. Taylor Gant in the contest. Kayla Sledge with a great cut. But, I mean, Kayla Terry's going to get some opportunity to run point. Olivia Harris back in the contest as well. You mentioned Macy Mullins playing almost the entire full 20 minutes in half number 1. So, I mean, positive to give a lot of different opportunities to 11 different faces. I guess it should be now 12 for Lynchburg.
Sledge good on the first. Allie Vizindi whistled for the foul. Sledge her first point of the new season. Look to double that up here. Sledge high bounce off the back of the rim. Thought that one might sink right back in. Instead, off rebounded by Marymount, and here come the Saints. Far side wing with it is Vizindi. Nearly a travel. Now the whistle will come in. Sledge altering the path there for Anna Schools. She was looking to work the ball to her right, just kind of got caught in the act. Didn't have anywhere to step. Whistled for the travel. Turnover Marymount. Lynchburg with Gant, the ball handler, look to get something going offensively. Kaysen trying to feed it in low. Sledge went up for the shot, forgot the ball. It's knocked out of her hands. And in the process, another foul going against Kayla Sledge. Sledge filling her role pretty nicely here tonight. Obviously, not a massive contribution on the scoreboard, but, you know, certainly looking more for the physicality aspect. She provided a big boost on the boards in the first half. That's continued when she's been in the second. If she can give solid rebounding, solid defense, and get to the line here as she does on these last 2 possessions, that's a win for Coach Nichols.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of positive signs for Lynchburg, obviously fighting back in the second quarter. I think that's, you know, the, I guess, 7-minute time that Lynchburg can really circle and look at before their contest on Friday and say, like, look, we did things really well here. I mean, we could have improved in other places. You guys knocked down shots. You got stops on the defensive end. And if you're Marymount, I mean, you can kind of circle the entire game and say you guys were very successful getting the ball inside against a team who is not, I mean, they're not weak in terms of, I guess, height and that advantage on the inside. Taylor Brown did a great job. Kayla Sledge, Darcy Ross came in and did a really good job of really kind of mulling up that paint area. But, I mean, Marymount has really found ways to score, taking different players out of the game. They have really defended the perimeter well.
Harris stepping, sidestepping, and finishing in the process. Olivia Harris cracks 10 points for the game. A miniature run here for Lynchburg offensively, stringing together a couple of stops on the defensive end. Again, just looking for any signs of positivity here in the final quarter. The three is left too long. Corralled on the rebound by Gant. Baseball pass ahead to Sever. Sever had Harris running out in front of her. Instead, gives off near side. Allison Booth, first career shot in the college game, off the mark. Rebound again by Marymount, and in no hurry on the other side is Anna Schools. Yeah, Bob Jones, the next opponent for Lynchburg. That'll be this Friday. Andrew, I know you'll have the call for that one. Evan Gates will step into the broadcast booth to join you for that one. You got a busy week, obviously. Primary broadcaster for the men's soccer team, which is going to start its NCAA tournament run this weekend. So you got to make sure you take care of that voice this week.
Yeah, you know, 5 games in 5 days, 2 of those on Saturday when obviously Lynchburg hosting that regional for the men's soccer NCAA tournament. And, I mean, even as exciting, Lynchburg welcoming in the #1 team in the country in the United Soccer Coaches poll, Messiah, who played on this field last year. Or not on this field, obviously, it's Turner Gymnasium, but out those front doors there on Schellenberger Field. I mean, a matchup that has been kind of anticipated to return. If Lynchburg and Messiah win their first-round matches, they will play each other in the second round of the NCAA tournament. But one game at a time, Lynchburg men's soccer, that's really been their motto. And I think it's something that Lynchburg women's basketball can really draw on as well. I think just taking it one game at a time. Obviously, Friday could be such a different contest than what we're seeing today. Maybe those shots fall and you look like you're someone who's competing for an ODAC championship. And that's what head coach Allison Nichols was really touching on when we met with her, was just trying to be successful when it came time to get into ODAC play. Just kind of being competitive and kind of having those shots fall late in the year is when it really matters. But getting the experience against an NCAA tournament quality team that Marymount is a very positive note for Lynchburg regardless of the outcome.
Lynchburg picks 8th in the ODAC preseason poll. Last season, there was sort of that defined top 7, and that'll sort of be the goal this year. Can Lynchburg, not only be the best of that, second tier, but get into the top tier, even if, that doesn't turn into competing for an ODAC championship. They got a great test coming up. 2 games down the road, they're going to face off against Randolph. Randolph, a team picked 5th in the preseason poll, made it to the ODAC semifinals a year ago. Much improved team a season ago, and they should be pretty good again this year. So certainly a good measuring stick game early in the season, just about a week down the road.
Yeah, and things for them will move very quickly. Obviously, Randolph and then a couple of non-conference games on a neutral court, and then Roanoke here on their home floor. November 29th will be the opening ODAC home game of the season for Lynchburg. So, I mean, things are going to get there very quickly, and Lynchburg is going to have to try and settle in. But obviously, Lynchburg has a very good tell on Randolph, just down the street, Hill City rivalry, and then Roanoke, obviously, we all know head coach Allison Nichols' ties there, and, a new face, Sarah Brandstetter, was on that side, so Lynchburg is going to know exactly what Roanoke is going to bring in, and it's going to be a very exciting time for ODAC basketball here in Lynchburg.
Stepping up to the free throw stripe for the first time in her career is Allison Booth. Sustained a slight push in the back there that drew the foul before Marymount was able to get out in transition. She goes 1 for 2, so first collegiate point now for Allison Booth, wearing number 13 there for Coach Nichols' club. Double team trap out high. Able to pass out of it, though, is Schools. Near side, under 10 on the shot clock, driving in close. Pass back to the outside. Contested shot. Finishing through the close defense there was D'Amato. 6 points in the game for D'Amato. Still, no one else on this Marymount team cracking 10 points. Another three-pointer from Booth. Same spot as her first attempt. Again, same result. That three-point shot just has not been kind to Lynchburg here tonight. Now 2 minutes remaining in the game. Offensive foul going against Marymount. Going to give it back to Lynchburg. Into the game first time tonight for Lynchburg is Mackenzie Brundage, junior guard out of Winston-Salem Christian, an Asheboro, North Carolina native. Saw her make a couple of starts a season ago. She's into the game here for the final minute and a half. She's joined by Sammy Sever, Darcy Ross, Taylor Gant, and Allison Booth.
Yeah, so Lynchburg getting the opportunity to allow some of their players a little bit of playing time, especially against a opponent like Marymount. You want to have kind of those experience just in case. I mean, obviously next man up mentality is something that this team really lived by last year, spreading the wealth as well. So, I mean, you really never know when your name is going to be called for the Hornets, and I think getting these opportunities, no matter when they occur in the contest, is a very important aspect in helping this team learn as they head further and further into the season.
And a healthy dose of minutes tonight for Sammy Sever. We'll have to go back to the drawing board and check where tonight's total minutes are going to fall in comparison to her season high a year ago, but I feel pretty confident going ahead and saying this is the most we've seen her on the floor since a breakout first half of her sophomore campaign, and a really solid Lynchburg team her sophomore year as well. It was a team in Coach Nichols' first season that was well on its way to, perhaps finishing very high up in the ODAC standings. Took a little bit of a hit after the Sever injury as they got into ODAC play. Sever averaging right around 14 points a game that year, so we'll see if she can get back to that level of play, but certainly if she can, that's a huge boost for this ball club. See, the final 20 seconds are going to come off of the clock. Would not imagine we will see another Marymount shot. Should be content to dribble it out. Now they will go ahead and attack the basket. Rebound pulled down by Darcy Ross. Ball with Sammy Sever. Contested at midcourt. These two teams going to play all the way to the final whistle. Foul whistled against Marymount. We'll go against Bullock. Sammy Sever, as you heard, public address announcer Kyle Haney just announced for us. 2 free throws for Sever. The free throw struggles continue here down to the final 3 seconds. Through the first 3 quarters, 8 of 15 was Lynchburg at the stripe. Another 1-for-2 trip there for Sever gives her 5 points in night 1 of the season. 10 points for Olivia Harris do wind up leading the way for Lynchburg on the evening, but everything for the most part comes up Marymount in the season opener, a 76-44 result that winds up looking a lot like when these two teams met last year, a 72-49 decision for Marymount in that one.
Yeah, Lynchburg really came out somewhat hot in the first quarter. They came out really, I believe, at that first media timeout. It was 11-8, and Lynchburg looked really good, knocking down some threes, and then those stopped falling. Marymount really started to figure out some of the weaknesses of this Lynchburg side, and Edelton really just put the team on her back there for quite some time, and the Saints really took control of the game in that second half. I mean, that three-point percentage in the first half wasn't where they wanted it to be. Obviously, that was an adjustment they made at halftime. They came out of the locker room and started knocking almost everything down, brought that lead up to more than 20 points, and from there, Lynchburg not able to bring things back, but a lot of positive signs. I think the early part of this contest, the first half to be specific, when Lynchburg really battled back and took the momentum of the contest, is something that head coach Allison Nichols is definitely going to draw upon as they head further and further in season. But this team will face off against Bob Jones, as you mentioned earlier in the contest on Friday.
Yep, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Some variation of that, I imagine, will be said in the Lynchburg locker room following this one. A tough result to start the year as Lynchburg drops to 0-1. Marymount improving to 1-0. Chandler Edelton, our player to watch. We said potentially All-American watch for Edelton this season. She leads the way with 26. It was the Chandler Edelton game, and Marymount a big win to start the season in style. We're going to go ahead and get you out of here, but before we do, want to extend a huge thanks, a lot of gratitude to our entire LHSN crew, our entire sports info crew. They're truly the best in the business, and it was a busy day today out on the field hockey field earlier today, watching Lynchburg field hockey clinch a trip to the second round of the NCAA tournament. So shout out to our student crew and our entire athletic communication department in putting together what's been a very successful doubleheader here on LHSN. Special shout out to director Ethan. He crushed it for us tonight behind the camera. And one last time, for myself, Sam Graham, alongside my partner Andrew Watson, we will sign off by telling you good night, God bless, and go Bird.